work so you can play. Mini Wargaming's Beat Matt Batrep.
Welcome back to Beat Matt Batrep episode 6. This is Dan versus myself in a rematch. This is round 2, so we're entering into Orcs turn 2. This is where they get to do a lot of their charging and a lot of damage. So let's see what he's going to try to do. He moves up his battle wagon here. He's just out of range to get the Death Rolla in there to attack that Trigon. But he's going to move up those Burnaboys in there. And he does his difficult terrain or dangerous terrain. And we roll 2 dice because he gets to re-roll if he gets a 1. So you really have to roll double 1s in order for it to immobilize. Moves his Death Coptas up. And then he rolls a 6 for his Storm Boys, which means they get to move an extra 6 inches. So they're just jumping right up, getting ready to engage these Gene Stealers. And I was ready for this. I didn't really want it to happen, but at the same time I knew that he's faster than me, so he gets to choose when to charge. So that's why they have the Feel No Pain and the cover when they shoot at them. He moves up his next truck, hoping to multi-assault the Gene Stealers and the Turbogon. All those guys dump out, all staying more than an inch away from the Trigon, in the Turbogon, and the Gene Stealers as well. So this is what I mean by him getting to choose the assaults, because he just moves up so quickly, there's no way I can outmaneuver him. His battle wagon full of Shooter Boys moves up, and his trucks move up. So you can see the terrain's not really hurting him, because he has to roll double 1s to immobilize, because of the upgrade he put on all of his vehicles. So he's able to just drive over it like it's not even there. And then he unloads 1 truck full of Ork Boys. He's leaving the other truck full so he can still maneuver them around, because there are objectives to think about. Although right now the most important thing is to secure good positions, which requires a lot of good shooting and good assaulting. So the Death Coptas are opening fire on the Trigon, who does not have Feel No Pain, so the one that has full wounds, and he manages to hit him twice and wound him twice. So both of them are down to 4 wounds. I'm kind of happy that he chose that one instead, just so that he spreads out the wounds because they're still fully effective until they're dead. Opening fire there. You can see wounding a few times, attempting some saves, and he manages to kill a couple of the Gene Stealers there. They did get cover saves. The Storm Boys are opening fire on the Gene Stealers, managed to wound a bunch of times. I get a 4+ cover save. I made 3 of those, and then I get a Feel No Pain save, and I make it. So he doesn't get any wounds in there, which is really important. Every wound will matter. This will be a very close attack that he's going to do right there. The big shoot is going to open fire, just because he might as well take these pot shots. Because if you can whittle down the Trigons, it makes a big difference. And he's going to use his cannon and his heavy shoot to try to take down some Gene Stealers as well. But I do get a cover save, and they do survive it. So now he's shooting the cannon. He gets a direct hit. Basically, everything he's trying to do here is just to whittle down the Gene Stealers as much as possible, because they have initiative 6, so even though he gets the charges off, I still get to hit him first with a 3+ on the hit because of their high weapon skill, and a rending strength 4 hit. So it's not insignificant. Even when he charges me, he's got to make sure that he survives as much as possible. So even just taking off a Gene Stealer here or there can make a big difference. So he's just doing everything he can just to whittle them down, which I think is wise. I think it's better to fire at the Gene Stealers than at the Trigons. Then his 11 Burnaboys fire here. We didn't even bother rolling because I think he scored 88 hits or something like that, and they all wound on 3+, ignoring cover. So I said, you know what, just take them all away because there's only 9 of them there. And he continues to open fire on the Gene Stealers. All the Shooter Boys are firing on the Gene Stealers there. And not very many of them actually wounded, and I make all but 1 cover save. So the Shooter Boys are really ineffective in that round, which is, of course, really helps me there. Because every round that the Shooter Boys are not effective is it's one long round that I can survive longer to hit him back. So he manages with the heavy shooter within the Shooter Boys to take down 1 more Gene Stealer there. Now it's time for the assault phase, and the Storm Boys are just jumping in there, and of course this is going to hurt. It'll hurt him a little bit as I get to hit him first, but it's really going to hurt the Gene Stealers. I just am crossing my fingers at this point, hoping that my Gene Stealers will survive this, to tie him up in combat, and then I hope that my reserve rolls will go well, my Gene Stealers will come in and help it out. I'm really betting a lot on those rolls just working out perfectly in my favor. So he's doing a multi-assault here, and with the multi-assault you have to charge what you're assaulting first, and once you no longer can charge it, in other words get to base-to-base contact, you can choose to assault something else. In this case he's trying to get most of them in with the Gene Stealers, and then he's going to put 1 into base contact with the Turbogon just to tie it up. My Gene Stealers of course get to respawn and get into combat, and so that one will probably not go so well for him, but at least he gets to tie them up and kill a few of the Gene Stealers, because he does have more coming behind. And then moving up all his truck boys into the assault there. He did have to go through difficult terrain, which has slowed him down a little bit. It didn't really matter so much for the initiative because I have initiative 6 anyway, so even though his boys dropped from initiative 3 to 1, it's not a big deal. So first off, my Genestealers will hit him. I hit on a 3+, and I wound on a 4+ with Rending. And I got a lot of hits in there, and so now I just really got to get a lot of wounds in there. So I get a few 6s, so that's Rending. And then the other 3, he rolls, and I think he saves 1 or 2 of them. So I kill about 5 or 6 boys here, and I think... do we put a wound? No, we don't put a wound on the knob there. And then he hits back with his bazillion attacks, because he gets 4 attacks on the charge, which is ridiculous. And he rolls, and he gets lots of hits in, but I get my Feel No Pain, which, of course, I make a lot of. I believe I actually... Yes, I actually forgot to take my armor saves right there, so I might have actually survived a bit more. I realize that now. I think there's a couple times where I forget to take armor saves for my Genestealers, just assuming they don't have it, because I'm so used to not taking armor saves with them. So his Power Claw goes in there, only manages to kill 1, which is unusual, because it usually does better than that. And now my Genestealers are attacking in this other group. This is where I hope to do lots of damage, so he doesn't do hardly any damage back. And I do inflict a lot of wounds, and a few Rending as well, and he saves 3 of them, so that actually is a big deal. That's 9 or 12 more attacks that he gets, because 3 times 4, and he actually puts a wound on the knob as well, just to get those extra attacks. And he hits back with his regular boys. The Tervagon gets to go last along with the Power Claw. And then the Power Claw goes and actually manages to wipe out 3 more Genestealers just by himself, which is... That thing is just so effective. Now my Tervagon gets to hit back. He hits on 4s and wounds on 4s re-rolling because it's poison attacks, and manages to kill 2 of them. So I win combat by a landslide. So he makes his leadership test. He has to get double 1s. He fails it. So he boss pulls one of the Orcs, kills him, and now he has to get Insane Courage.
Insane Courage!
Sorry, I couldn't say it better than that, so I just put the actual audio in there. And so they actually survived and stayed in combat. The Termagant there, he's a nice commando. He actually managed to kill one of the Orcs, because he does have a higher initiative before the Power Claw alone wipes him out 3 times over. The Genestealers are hitting back here, hoping to do lots of damage so that they can maybe survive this. They do get lots of hits in. They got to get 4 pluses, which they miss a bunch of, but still they do a lot of wounds. So he's got to roll 6s here. And he manages to get a couple 6s, and so only a few of his guys die. Remember, every 6 is 4 more attacks that he gets. And his knob takes an attack as well. And he's just hitting back, and he's obviously get lots of attacks, and he manages to wipe out every last Genestealer there. And so that sucks, because I only have 5 groups of Genestealers, so that squad is completely wiped out. Now, heading to my turn, I get to roll for reserves. I roll a 4+ for them, so they're in. And I roll a 6 for the Malantai, so he gets to drop in. I rolled for sides, and luckily I roll exactly what I needed. We decided a 3+ would be on the left side just because it's the same odds. And so these guys are all coming in, and those Storm Boys' days are numbered. So it happened exactly the way I wanted it to. Now we got to see if the Malantai will drop in. There's the Spore Pod. Scatters 4 inches, so not very far. And it's actually worked out pretty well. So the Doom of Malantai I was going to put right there. Then I decided if I put him on the other side, then he'll be within 6 inches of 3 groups. And when he's within 6 inches during the shooting phase, he gets to suck their brains out and get all their wounds. And we'll do that in a second. The Trigons move up, getting ready to assault these battle wagons. If you're wondering why I'm so close to the one battle wagon, it's because he was not counting the Deferola as part of it. We were measuring everything from the truck itself, not from the Deferola. And you saw him spawn more Termagants. I rolled a 6, 4, and a 4. That means he can't spawn anymore because of the double 4, but he did spawn 14 more Termagants, which is huge. It'll really help in that side because I need it because he's starting to move through all the Genestealers. And I'm casting Feel No Pain on a couple of the Genestealer groups, and then moving this group of Genestealers who's taken a couple of casualties over to lend a hand on this side. Now the Doom of Malantai, he's within 6 inches of this group, the Storm Boys, and the 2 groups. Now basically what he does for in the shooting phase, anybody's shooting phase, is every group that's within 6 inches has to take a leadership test on 3d6, whether they're fearless or not, and if they fail it, they take a wound. You can't save with armor saves, but you can with cover for some reason, for every point that you fail it by. And he gets, anytime he inflicts any wounds, he gets extra wounds from that. So he's up to 7 wounds now, and he inflicts, all 4 of them die, but they get their cover. 2 of them make their cover, so he kills 2 more of them. And so he's up to, I think we miscalculated, I have him at 10 wounds because if we forgot about the cover saves at first and came back and did that, so he should really be at 9 wounds, but it won't matter too much, as you will see. The Spore Pod is attacking with its Strength 6, Assault 6 attack, hitting on 5 pluses, and manages to do a glancing and a penetrating. And basically they both end up being 1s, and so they do not afflict much, and he gets both of the cover saves against that, actually. And then I actually armed it with Cluster Spines, I think, the one that's a Strength 5 Large Blast, but it fails to do anything. The Turvagon opens fire on the truck, hits a few times, and I believe he penetrates once, or maybe that was a glancing. And I think that, yes, at the end we destroy a weapon off of that truck. So that's great. That'll be a little less shooting. And now the Doom of Malantai is going to fire his, in this case, Strength 10 AP1. It should have been Strength 9. And he makes a Psychic test. And he gets a direct hit, essentially, because his Ballistic skill is 4, so that 4 is reduced to 0. And he does get a penetrating hit, and he does get a wrecked, because it's 3, +1 for open top, +1 for being AP1. But of course, he makes his stupid cover save from the custom force field. I lose a couple wounds from that, because he loses D3 wounds whenever you fire that psychic attack. And the other Turvagon's going to try to take down that last truck that's full of boys, but fails to do so. And so we're just going to open fire here, hopefully taking down a few boys, but I don't roll very well here. The Termagants seem to be just like the Orcs in this case, and they only manage to inflict 1 wound, which of course you can't save because it is an AP5 attack. So now it's the assault phase. The Genestealers are moving in along with the Turvagon to try to take down that truck, just so that they can't re-embark and then cause problems. These Genestealers are charging into the Orc Storm Boys, hoping to just wipe them out. Even it would be nice if it was without a casualty on my part. The Trigons are both attacking the battle wagons, and of course the Termagants charging into this group of boys, hoping to destroy them outright so they can get ready for the next charge from the next group of truck boys. So starting here, we have all these Genestealers at initiative 6, some with 3 attacks, some with 2, and we get lots of rolls in there, lots of hits, rolling not so good on the wounds actually, and he makes a few saves, and actually does pretty well against them, and only loses, now he does lose a lot, but at the same time, he should have, in all likelihood, been wiped out from that attack. So he gets to hit back. Now luckily he's only hitting on 4s, and he doesn't manage to, he only manages to kill 2 of the Genestealers. Then he has his Power Claw, which of course by itself manages to kill 3 more. So he managed to wipe out 5 Genestealers in that attack, and he really should not have survived that at all. And he fails his leadership, fails it again with the boss pull, and he's got to get 4 or less, and he rolls a 9. And at this point, it's initiative 6 against initiative 2, and so he had to roll a 6 and me a 1. I rolled the 1, but he didn't roll the 6, so we overrun him. Wouldn't have mattered anyway because they're below half strength, so they would not have been able to regroup. So that's a complete massacre. Did lose 5 Genestealers, which I didn't want to do. I thought that I'd be able to get out of that with less casualties than that, but he still managed to kill a bunch of Genestealers. So now we're getting a bunch of attacks against the truck, which moved really far, so I need 6s. And I do get a rending hit in there, which is penetrating, which manages to wreck it. And at that point, it careens and everything explodes within 3 inches. And doesn't hurt his Orc boys. He hurts 2 of my Genestealers, and I roll, and I forget that it's a 5+ save. For some reason I think it's a 6+ save. I don't know what it is with me and my Genestealer saves. It's been a while since I've used them. So he kills 2 of my Genestealers. He should have only killed 1, but that's fine. And the truck explodes, and those boys now have nowhere to go. So now these 2 battle wagons, I need to take them down, or at least immobilize them. But they've moved over 12 inches, so I need 6s. So I got a 6, I got a penetrating hit, I get a +1 to this because it's open-topped, and of course I immobilize it, which is awesome. And the other Trigon, same thing, he gets his 7 attacks, he needs a 6 to hit, and he rolls a 6, now he needs a 4 higher to glance, that's a penetrating, and he immobilizes him as well. So both the battle wagons in 1 turn get immobilized, which is so important because of his Def Rollas and being able to go around with the Burna Boys wherever he wants. And so I really needed to take those down, which is exactly what happened. And so continuing the fight, managed to wipe out all of the Orc boys without any chance of them retaliating. So those Termagants are now consolidating, and they're spreading out. Basically what I was trying to do is hem in his battle wagon on the one side so that he couldn't disembark on the one side. He'd have to disembark on the other side, which is if he did, the Doom of Malantai would be able to move up and be able to, in the shooting phase, suck out all their brains and get even more wounds. So you can see that it's starting to turn, that the Tyranids are pushing through, but there's still 2 battle wagons full of guys, Burna Boys and Shooter Boys. There's still a truck full of regular boys, and there's still all those Def Coptas, and so this game is far from over at the end of round 2. You can see it's getting very tense. Round 3 will be even bloodier, And you're just going to have to stay tuned to see what happens. So stay tuned for round 3. This is Matthew from Mini Wargaming. I'll see you in the next video.
Visit miniwargaming.com to see our videos 1 month early.